Hello, Pickles. I just want to make sure I'm recording. Yes, I am recording. Okay, sorry about that. This is a video that I'm making for the Pickles and Hairspray group. My name is Jo Pavlov. Recently in one of the threads, we were talking about gender and sexuality, and I came out as gender queer, which is to say I don't identify as female. And a bunch of people private messaged me and asked me a bunch of questions, and I was really grateful. And actually, the conversation got really interesting on the board. I love talking about this subject. It is one of my favorite subjects. And then more recently, on the board, people were speculating that Josiah might be gay, David Waller might be gay, Jana might be gay. And I just wanted to make a quick video to just express a few ideas about why I think expressing yourself effeminately, if you're male-bodied, doesn't necessarily equate to being gay and that sort of thing. So I just wanted to touch on a few of those subjects. First off, so as you can see, I appear to be a butch female. I think you can tell by my voice and maybe by breasts or whatever. You look at me, you might assume that I'm female. But you also know that I don't look terribly female. I recently shaved my head. I have tattoos. I don't shave my armpits. There's a million reasons why people look at me and they think I'm a lesbian, quite frankly. So a lot of my life people have suspected I was a lesbian. To be a lesbian is to assume you know what I find attractive in other human beings. And what I find attractive in other human beings has nothing to do with how I choose to present myself to the world. Although there may be crossover, because sometimes the way you choose to present yourself to the world is to attract a certain type of human being. So when you say somebody like Josiah is speaking effeminately or David Waller is speaking effeminately, you're assuming he's trying to send off signals to other gay men that he's gay, and that's how it is. But what I wanted to say to that is, if you know gay men, and I'm assuming most of us know gay men in our lives, you'll know that they run the gamut from very effeminate, with some sort of vocal affectation, all the way to butch, manly, masculine, the type of man that you would never suspect was gay, and everything in between. So just because... and you got to remember that gay men are attracted to the gamut of men. Some men are attracted to effeminate men. Some men are attracted to manly, hairy, bearded. They're called bears in the community. So who you are attracted to doesn't make you less gay or not gay. If you're attracted to other men, you're a gay man. So what I was getting at with the David Waller thing is, just because he comes off effeminately doesn't mean he's gay. It could mean, much like I present myself as a butch person in a female skin, he might express himself, present himself as an effeminate man in male skin. Could just be his expression of his own gender identity. So for me, I can only speak for myself, my gender identity is somewhere in the gray area. I've always known I was not a girl, and I've always known I was not a boy. And I've always just known these things the way you know you are a girl or you are a boy. Like when you ask a little kid, sometimes it's very self-explanatory, self-evident. Like people just know who they are. And I was that kid who kind of just knew what I wasn't. Like when they said boys line up here and girls line up there, I just didn't quite know where to line up. So I knew I was different. And it wasn't until I was 38 years old that I learned the word genderqueer, and I learned this concept of being somewhere in the gray area of life, and life is not just a binary. I was raised fundie. I was raised much like the Duggar kids to believe that I was going to grow up to be married and joyfully available to some freaking man and have lots of babies. And those thoughts horrified me as a child, horrified me. I will say there was a point in my childhood when actually it was very normalized because that was the world I lived in. But I think once I came to my senses, I realized that wasn't what I wanted. With regards, so just to, in my life, I've presented myself various ways. Either sometimes ultra feminine. I went through a hippie phase where I had hair down to my butt and I wore flowy skirts. I'm currently in quite a butch phase where I recently just shaved my head, and I really like presenting myself this way to the world. It gives me joy. It makes me happy. This is how I want people to perceive me. Now, as for who do I attract? Well, there's a certain element of society that's not going to be attracted to a person who looks this way. That might be a very hetero man who has expectations of a woman who might have long hair, and I don't fit that bill. So that's fine. I may attract women who are lesbians, and that's fine too. I don't... I get to decide who I'm going to wind up with in the end, right? That is my choice and my decision. And I may choose to adjust how I look to attract that potential partner. Or I may not give a shit about partners at all. I may choose to look this way because it makes me happy, no matter who likes it and who doesn't. But as it pertains to sex and gender, I just did want to touch on that, you know, gender is between the ears and sex is between the legs. That's one of the more catchphrases that they use to describe it. Gender is who you identify as. Sex is who they assign you at birth. Sex is the parts you have, how you were assigned at birth. So oftentimes when a baby's born, they assign them the sex based on a cursory glance of external genitalia only. So that is to say, they don't do chromosomal tests. They don't test for internal organs, ovaries, uterus, this type of thing. They only test for, they only look and see it's a penis, so it must be a boy, vagina must be a girl. And in the instances where kids are born with what's called ambiguous genitalia, and it's more common than you think, it's approximately 1 in 1,000. Usually surgeries are kind of done at birth because most parents and grandparents are quite scandalized that we can't announce if it's a boy or a girl. Sometimes I wonder, I think when Samuel was born, they didn't announce it for weeks and weeks, and I often wondered if that's typical when when an intersex baby is born, they don't announce the sex right away because they're too busy, doing a little surgery. Typically, it's easier to remove something than to add something. A lot of times those kids wind up being girls in the end. I think things have changed. That was more common in the 60s and 70s and 80s. I think things might be a little bit better now. But in fundie circles, I wouldn't be surprised if, the kids, we need to have an actual binary sex here. We need to announce it's a boy or girl. We need to socialize that kid. We need to raise that kid as a boy or girl to know whether or not they're going to be the helpmeet or the authority. So, anyway, I'm getting a little bit off topic here. But when you're assigned a sex at birth, then you are raised to be that sex. And you are taught, the associated behaviors and looks that go along with being that sex. So the girls are socialized to be female. The boys are socialized to be male. And for people like me or anybody who falls outside that binary system, let's even say David Waller or Josiah, I don't think either of them. Quite frankly, I don't know. And I don't tend to speculate on people's sexuality or gender because in my world, I've lived in this skin long enough to know you don't know me. You don't know what's in my pants. You don't know what's in my head. You just know what you see. You just know what you're looking at. And that doesn't mean anything at all. That's just how I choose to present myself to the world today, right? Because, a few weeks ago I had long hair. So you just don't know. And it's better not to speculate until someone comes out and tells you what they are, asks you to use a specific pronoun. I think it's getting a little long, so I'll end it here. But I just wanted to let you guys know if you have any questions about anything gender related, or gender and fundie related, because that's me, right? I grew up in a fundie home, and I'm more than happy to answer. I love talking about this subject matter, and I've really been enjoying the board lately. It's kind of sucked up all my time. It's the rabbit hole I can't seem to get out of. So thanks to Pickles for creating it, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.